It's Call Rain or Call Rain Tarot back again with another pick card as usual. So, I wanted to do one that dives into your aura or your energetic field that is around your body and kind of discusses the different energies that may have a significant influence on you or the people around you as well. So it's going to kind of go like layer by layer to see what's in your immediate surroundings and how people relate to you. So I'm going to do a pile picking part of the video next, and I wanted to set the intention together first. So if you're looking just for the pile selection, that is going to be in the description. Okay, so we're going to start with the candle, and I chose yellow today. This cool, I don't even know what kind of candle this is. I think it's like a citrusy, like papaya mango type candle. So we're going to light this with the intention that it helps us understand our actions and our energy in terms of how it affects us in the long run and the things that we like to do and the way that we like to interact with the world in general. And then I also wanted to cleanse the space with this rosemary cleansing bundle that I made. So we're going to light this. And I'm not the greatest at this kind of smoke cleansing, so bear with me. But this is with the intention that it connects us with our heart centered truth, that only messages that are going to help us with our highest and greatest good come through, and that I am a proper channel for these kind of messages. Okay, now that I've made an entire mess of my surroundings and gotten stuff everywhere, I tried to clean it up as best as I can. I'm going to move on to the pile selection part of the video. So, before we get into this, I do want to encourage you to take a couple mindful breaths, ground yourself, and since we're tapping into more of the like energy side of things, and those that can get kind of wild, I used my most grounded decks today, so this is hopefully with the intention that we are coming from a place of being grounded, and it's anticipating for us to possibly be a little bit out of our heads, because also at the time that I'm filming this, we are in Mercury retrograde. We have so many planets in retrograde. I think it's 6 at the moment. Yeah, it is 6. But I just want to anticipate for any like wildness in our energy field. So take a couple mindful breaths, and then we're gonna go into pile selection. Okay, so I've got my setup right here. And the cards are kind of far away from all the things that I have going on, but I wanted to just let you know which pile is which. This is pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. And I'm going to let you kind of linger on this for a minute, collect yourself, choose which one is calling to you, and then I'll have the timestamps in the description as usual so that you can find whichever pile is calling to you. Without further ado, I want to get into pile 1. Hello, pile 1. So if you selected pile 1, this is going to be your aura energy field reading. So to kind of cleanse the space, since we cleansed it with smoke at the beginning, but I do want to just bring in this like sense of calm, peace, and clarity into this reading. I'm going to spray a lavender spray, and this will help us with any emotions that we should encounter while we're diving into the energy field and seeing through the outer, the middle, and like the inner layers of our energy system. And then also to calm my hands and allow for them to receive the proper energy and feel the energy, I'm putting some lavender, calm, essential oil on my hands to help aid in just my hands as tools in the reading. So, now that we've got that all taken care of, let's get into the cards that I have selected for you, pile 1. So, we have, today I'm using the Wildwood Tarot deck, and then I also have an Oracle deck, which is the Little Wisdom Shakti Power deck. So, I pulled these ones first, and I think that these ones are going to be the overall outer energy levels, and then the tarot, like Wildwood Tarot cards that I have in here, these ones are going to be the more inner layers. So for your outer layers, we have White Makahala, God of Prosperity and Wealth. Wish others wealth and happiness. Yours will come too. So for this, I am getting a strong metallic feeling from the outer layer of your energy. It's more like is represented in this card. There's like this golden, all these like different golden aspects. Also, he has a lot of fire as well, like those fiery colors. There's I think a good even like balanced mix of a lot of different elements that are here. So it's very ambiguous as to what exactly elementally this could be, but I definitely think that it's more of a metallic. If you had to put a label on whatever like element it would be. But also there's something, I feel like you could be like Capricorn rising or possibly Taurus or Scorpio rising. Even though Scorpio is a water sign, I do feel like there's something that is a little bit intense about the very outer layer of your energy, and something that people pick up on a lot. So it's something that's just more prominent. I think people see you as very like business-like, very put together. You're somebody that people really respect your opinion in the business world. So I think also you could have a lot of like monetary wealth around you. You could seek, even if you aren't very rich, you could have like that energy of like, oh, I am going to wear things that make me look as if I have money. You could be really interested in, it's like, I think that's why I'm picking up on that Capricorn energy, because Capricorn to me is a sign that really values the quality of something over having a lot of it. So you could be somebody that even if you don't have a lot of things, you are wearing things that are of high value, or they are of a perceived value. Okay, the second card we have here is Yeshe Soigal, Wisdom Lake Queen. Celebrate the creative feminine energy and the vitality of life. So here, Yeshe to me is very wise, very old. I think that that's also why that Capricorn energy was speaking to me at the beginning, because Capricorn is a older type of energy to me. It's something that's a little bit more developed. It's more like you thought things out if you're a Capricorn. It's that like wisdom energy that's coming through. There's something about it that is very, your energy on the very outside is just very respectable, and it commands attention. Not necessarily in the way of like, oh, look at me, I'm so great. It's more of like, people are going to respect your opinion. They're going to look at you and be like, oh, that person has a lot to offer. So I do think that on some level you could attract some people that are going to try and take advantage of that aspect of like groundedness and maturity that you have in your outer energy field. But I think that you're not like you have these barriers, because look at her. She has a protective layer that is kind of like keeping her from having too much to do with this person up here. I do really think that there's a protective layer that's where that respect is commanded from. People are like, oh, this person really doesn't want to be messed with, and you're not going to let like energy leeches and your energy vampires, anything like that, have any influence over the way that you interact with people. So I do think that you're the type of person that it's not like you're closed off, but you're a little bit more reserved. You're going to be friendly with people, and I think that you are somebody that works with a lot of people with this like with White Makahala, because I do feel like White Makahala is a deity that he seeks to like help community, so he seeks to like get justice for people and have the wealth, like share the wealth, like spread that around and see a lot of people thriving. But I do think that it's that Yeshe Soigal, it's like you know where your energy is best spent, so you're not going to let anyone who is just draining you be really on your inner circle or in your inner energy field. So I do think that that metal, like that metallic energy on the very outside it's somewhat of a barrier for you. It's somewhat of a protective layer for you too, to keep you from giving too much to other people, to keep you from letting too many people in, because I do feel like in the past you haven't had as thick of a metallic barrier around you. I'm thinking of it more in terms of like a steel like wall. It's something that is very impenetrable unless you like open the door for somebody to get through. So let's look at your tarot cards, because I'm really interested in what's on the inside. So, okay. We have have the Nine of Cups, which says generosity, and that's also why you need this protective barrier. I do feel like you have a very strong heart. This yellow color keeps coming up for you because, like, I don't know if you see, but like these cards, all of them are very warm tones. So you definitely have a lot of fire that's on the inside. Also, even in here, we have this orange layer that kind of goes around. So I do think that you do have a lot of fire energy within. You could also even have like a sun or a moon sign in a fire sign. And I'm thinking more, this is like Leo, Aries, not quite Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is a different flavor of warmth, if you would. Sagittarius is a little bit of a cooler fire, and I feel like this is a very like heated, warm, intense fire, which I feel like is more close to Leo or Aries. So this Nine of Cups, though, that you have here, this is more of a water energy, but it is this warm water. So it's this bright yellow color, and I do feel like on the inside of your energy field, it's somewhat sunny. There's something to do with, it's like laughter. I feel like you are very generous with emotions. You make a lot of space for people when you care about them. You're a very good listener. I do feel like people know that you're genuinely listening to them when you have a conversation with them. So I think that people are, I think that they're somewhat surprised because you have this more rigid exterior. When they get to know you and they get past that like metallic wall, they find this like sunshiny, warm like energy, and it's very like bubbly. I do feel like there's something about it that's a little bit flirtatious, and I feel like this is something that you could maybe bring people in romantically, or if you're, I feel like some of you are kind of like polyamorous in some way, so like you'll have certain people in this like energy barrier for you that is like more sunshine and warm. And I feel like there are some people, if you value them or you're attracted to them romantically, you could kind of bring them into this energy. And so people who are more on the outside of that metallic layer, they're like, yeah, that person is really shiny, this person is really like exciting to be around, but they don't see that like warmth. So I do feel like you get mixed reviews from people, and it's because you know how to like kind of shapeshift and move your energy around you a lot. So I don't even know if any of this is like making sense. I hope that it is, because it is kind of out there, but bear with me. So you also have the Six of Wands, which is abundance. This is again fire energy, and there is that fire in the middle. So I feel like, again, this is something that has to do with wealth. I do feel like you attract things to you very easily because of this sunny energy that's in your like secondary outer energy body. So there's something that's warm. It sustains life. Like the sun is something that creates life and it sustains it. And sometimes it can be a little bit overpowering. If you turn up the heat, you can really singe people a little bit and get them uncomfortable. But you're very good at bending this like fiery, warm energy. I feel like this is something that you're very comfortable with, and you know that you can either make somebody feel really good, feel very taken care of, or very like, what's the word, like heated out. Like if it's too hot in the kitchen, like leave that. What even is that saying? I don't remember it. I don't know. But there's something fun and playful about this energy too that I really think is nice, and it's humble. Usually the Six of Wands is kind of talking about parading around and having an overabundance and like being a little bit, like I think of it as like a prince going through a town of commoners and being like, yes, see how like much I've done for you kind of a thing. But I do feel like it's justified in your terms. You may also be somebody that takes care of other people a lot. You may have a lot of people that you kind of take under your wing. You may be a mentor to some people. So I think that's being reflected here. And it's also to show that you are not in a lack mindset very often. I do think that you know that you're going to be provided for, and so the universe allows you to attract that in, and it's hard for things to leave once they enter your energy field because of that solid, like, metallic outer barrier. I think that this is really representing you as at the core, and this is the Woodward. The Woodward is card 11, so justice. I do think it is, you try very hard to be fair. You try really a lot to balance that your outer energy levels with your inner. So I do feel like there's some, it is an airy energy. I'm being called that like Libra aspect of the Justice card here. And also, I do think that you are somebody that really retains information. You could have a very sharp memory. You have a very, like, there's something about the way that your mind works that is very absorbed, like you absorb a lot. And you are very good at discerning things. You have a very strong, like, mental system. You like to learn a lot about things and take in information and really analyze it as well. And I think with this as well, it really feeds into that fire energy really well, because air and fire go together well, because the air, that's that inner pocket of your energy, pushes through to be fiery and like kind of turns it up. And that's how you control that fire so well, is because when you blow more air on something, it will heighten the flame, right? It'll make it catch fire more. And if you don't put any air energy in on something, it's going to die and it's not going to sustain itself. So it's like you have this kind of like heated outer metallic area, then you have this really warm inner fire ring, and then you have this air energy in the middle that is devoid of any temperature, and it's just very quick moving. I feel like there's something that's very active about the inner layer of your energy. And there's something also that is very truth-seeking about you. Because the wood word is talking about inevitability, it's talking about seeing the cutting, like, sheer, it's like bearing everything. So I do feel like there's a certain amount of you that, I do think that you're somewhat of an introvert because of that, like, protective layer and everything. I do think that you do a lot of introspection and a lot of, okay, how am I going to, where is my energy best spent? Like, how am I going to interact with the world in a way that isn't going to drain me and that is going to sustain this kind of ecosystem that I have built? Because I do feel like you absorb a lot of people, and when somebody is in your life, you kind of are sustaining them in some way. So I think that there is a certain amount of, you know that your energy is precious. And I think that that's somewhat intense, especially if you have that inner air energy that's going on, because air energy is something that has to sustain all life. It's like that breath force within us. So you could possibly have felt drained in the past by a lot of people, and that's why you're more protective of yourself now. I hope that this resonated, Pile 1. I hope that this helped you understand yourself, and I hope that it was something that was kind of fun for you to understand. I was very honored, and I want to thank your higher self, which I have called in to help me facilitate this reading. And I also want to thank you for allowing me to be in an intimate part of your energy field today. So I will see you in another video, and I'm going to move on to Pile 2. Howdy, Pile 2. So if you selected Pile 2, this is going to be your auric or energy field reading. Now, we cleanse with the smoke cleansing at the very beginning, but heading into this pile, I do want to spray some lavender spray, which is like a water, and this is going to mist around the aura and help bring us into a place of calm, collectedness, and bring me into a mind space where I can read your energy and deliver the most clear and concise messages to you that are going to help you understand. So, I want to get into the cards that I have here. So, I want to start with the Buddha Wisdom Shakti Power deck, which is an oracle card, and for you I only got one. I feel like there's something that's a little bit, not to say that you're simple at all, but I think that there is a little bit of a simplicity to your energy. It's somewhat dreamy, it's somewhat foggy and misty. It's very calming and relaxing. So you may be somebody that is very, like, no nonsense. You don't really want to deal all that much with, like, conflicts or anything. So, and then we have, for the inner energy field, 2 cards from the Wildwood Tarot deck. So, looking first, and I love this card. I'm so happy that this came out. This is definitely something on your very outer field, and it's a very sweet energy. I knew as soon as I tapped into this pile's energy that there's something about you that is just kind. Like, people really like to be around you. You, regardless of if you know someone all that well, people see you as very comforting, very, it's heavy water energy. There's something about it. I'm getting a lot of Pisces, You could be like Pisces rising or have something like Pisces sun. Something in your very outer, like what you project to people is very watery, very dreamy. You're, I don't know, like you are also possibly very good at energy reading. You have a good like intuition on people. So it also could be like Cancer energy, but I'm also thinking possibly like Libra rising, because Libra is that like, okay, let me discern things very quickly so that I know where I can put my energy. If somebody's gonna be benefiting from interacting with me, or if that's like not where my energy is best spent. I think that there's something that is like that air energy that is, it's not conflict looking. Like I think Gemini and Aquarius sometimes can walk right into conflict, but for you I do feel like it's more of that Libra air energy. If you do have any kind of, it's like a mixture of air and water on your very outside. But this card, I recognize I didn't even tell you what it is yet, but this is Princess Mandrava, first wife to Padmasambhava. Sometimes love changes the course of a life. So Princess Mandrava, she was very much, she didn't want to have anybody tell her what to do. And I think that that is something that characterizes your outer energy. You know what you want, but it's more of this like passive, I guess, knowing what you want. Even though there's like some of this flame at the bottom, I feel like that may be something that is more on the inside of you, but I do feel like your outer layer is very, very water and air. And I think it's easy for people to see past it and kind of see what's going on the inside, and that's what's attractive to people. When they come in contact with you, they see, oh, this person has something very intense on the inside. You have this intense emotional energy that is to the core. I think that there is a very thin outer layer that is going on for you. But I do think that there's something that is like, okay, you know how to leave the situation. I think that's why you're very misty on the outside, because mist can evaporate right away. It's something that doesn't stick around for all that long. So if people aren't catching your attention, if people aren't emotionally reciprocating with you, I do feel like you are more attracted to water energy. You have some kind of water elemental type energy to you. There's something that has to do with like that beauty and the complexity and the depth of water that is like on the outside. And since water is an energy that you can kind of see through pretty easily, I think that that's what protects you, though, is that you see when somebody is just trying to get something out of you. You know when somebody is seeing your qualities as like commodities, as something that they can take from. So, also, before I set that card down completely and don't go back to it, that aspect of love, sometimes love changes the course of a life. I do think that your emotions, since they are something that you wear on the outside of you, they teach other people very easily, and they teach people how to love and how to seek out love as well. I do feel like you are somebody that is very comfortable with love. Also, with that water and air thing, I know that this is a little bit of a tangent, and that's probably not what you came to this video for, but I feel like some of you need to hydrate yourselves better or spend more time with water. I think that that is going to help fortify this outer layer and keep it so that you are a little bit more protected, because I do feel like there's something about your energy right now that is you could stand to have a little bit more protection on you, because you're this very kind, very empathic, very warm type person. Maybe not even warm, but I do feel like you're just comforting on some level, and I feel like that makes you susceptible to like energy vampires, or possibly people that just don't have your best interests in mind. They aren't really seeing you as a full person, they're seeing you as something to take from. So I don't know, getting in contact with water at some level, or like just hydrating yourself, like giving yourself that nourishment, is really going to build up your sense of self and also give you that energy and that strength and vitality to be able to handle stuff like that. But moving on to the other cards, we have from the Wildwood Tarot deck, we have the Queen of Bows, or Queen of Wands, which is the hair, and that's that fire energy that I was talking about. I don't know how I picked up on that, but it's like, for some reason I'm seeing an orb of like this misty, watery, airy energy, and then on the inside there's like an egg of fire. So I feel like you are very fire. It's like the air energy is all the way through, and it kind of carries things in and out so that you can communicate things from that air energy. It is, I do feel like you're a very strong communicator. There's something about this that also I feel like you could be some kind of nurturer, so working in like a medical profession, counseling, social work, something like that that is more like human centered. Also, for some of you, writing, because of that communication, that air energy is writing things down. But we also have the Two of Swords, which says injustice. So it's somewhat quicker on the inside. I do feel like you are prone to being anxious. You could have a lot of anxiety disorders or just some kind of social barrier, which is interesting because I feel like you work with a lot of people, or you work with understanding very deep and intimate parts of human life. But because fire and water contradict each other a lot, and you have some of that all playing in with each other, I do feel like sometimes it causes this anxious feeling. It causes this dissonance within yourself. And I do think that this Queen of Wands I do see is very like psychic, very intuitive, very creative as well, and more in touch with that like feminine side of life, but it is very driven. It is very focused on understanding the self, understanding others, understanding the integration of both of those, and things on a larger cosmic scale. But this Two of Swords, I feel like also is talking about possibly where you may not be trusting your intuition. You may not be trusting your judgment and your guidance, especially when it comes to social situations. I feel like there may be a situation at your work right now or in the realm of your career life that is somewhat difficult for you. It is hard for you to justify the way that you're interpreting something about somebody. I feel like you want to see the best in others. You want to withhold judgment from somebody because that's what you would want from someone if you maybe were acting with not the best intentions at heart, or something was happening for you that you were misrepresenting yourself. And I feel like you want to hold other people to that same handle, uphold their, it's like seeing the best in somebody, like trying to not pass judgment. I don't know, but ultimately I feel like this is something that is keeping you from moving forward, because I do feel like somewhat you're sucking up other people's energy. Not to say that you're being like an energy suck or anything, but you are retaining some things in your energy field that are not from you, and they are not meant to move you forward on the greatest path. And I think that you already know, okay, these people, these certain situations are just taking from me. They are seeing me as this like kind, caring, wonderful, really like compassionate person, but it's taking advantage of that. I do think that there is some level of that where you could really benefit from protection, from some kind of I don't know, like fiery wall of protection. I feel like if you tried to build up like a more fiery layer that kind of goes around you, that kind of mimics that inner fire, because I feel like not everybody deserves that really watery, like airy energy that you have in your very outer layer right now. And I think that there is something that needs to be balanced. You need to get in touch with both that water energy that you have and also that fire energy, and kind of see how you can mix them together without putting the other one out, if that makes any sense. I know that this is a little bit more abstract, but I just felt really called to do it today, and I feel like working with elements of fire and water for you are going to be very helpful to balance those two things, because I do feel like that dissonance in this life is something that you're going to have to constantly juggle if you don't get started doing it sooner rather than later. I think that that water element could be built up and the fire element could be used as more of a protective um, barrier for you, because fire is very cleansing, it is very purifying, and it also will help your intuition see, okay, is this person really willing to support me, to be kind of behind me, how much of my energy am I willing to give in this situation. So I hope that this resonated. I want to thank your higher self for helping me out with this reading. I also want to thank you for watching this video today and joining me for this kind of fun and out there topic. And I will see you in another video. Bye. Howdy, Pile 3. So if you selected Pile 3, this is going to be your energy or like auric field reading. I just want to tap into the different energies that you have surrounding your body that people pick up on when they are in a conversation with you, or if they talk to you in any form. Honestly, that could even be online, but just get you kind of a sense of what is happening in your energetic system around you and what kind of elements and things you have to work with. If you also want to do some kind of like magic, if you like to work with spells that kind of use your energy, strengthen certain aspects of your energy that impact you or influence you in different areas of your life. So for your outer energy system, I have 2 cards from the Buddha Wisdom Shakti Power Oracle deck, and these are going to describe your very outer energy system. Also, before we get started, I forgot, I wanted to spray some like lavender water spray that is just going to cleanse the space and get us in the right place to receive and deliver messages. So, the cards we have here. Okay. We have Amoghasiddhi, which is the Buddha guardian of the North. Cultivating a well-rounded personality brings fearlessness. So, yes, there is something that is a little bit shocking about your outer layer. There's something that is intense. I am getting a lot of earth energy. Possibly it's like a mixture of earth and wood. Wood is very earthy as well, but I do feel like wood energy is something that can be crafted and shaped and used a lot to create other things. So you could be somebody that is somewhat of a shapeshifter. You kind of match other people's energies, but you also like to take over a situation sometimes. So you blend in at first to enable yourself to work from the inside out to direct a situation. I feel like some people could see this as a little bit cunning or like foxy. I don't know how else to describe it. It's something, if you resonate with foxes or you resonate with like a chameleon or like lizards or something like that, even though those are usually associated with fire energy, I do feel like this is more in an earth energy type of way. I feel like you could also be a Virgo rising, so there's something Virgo-y about your energy, because Virgo is it's a fiery, airy type earth sign. So it's an earth sign that kind of works with other elements to create its signature. And this wood energy is something that I feel like closely is linked with fire because it burns and it has different qualities that it takes on when it connects with fire. But you also have, I'll show you this card. Sorry, I did not show you it. But there are all these different aspects to this personality. So I do feel like you like to observe people, and Virgo is very analytical. It's also this sign that takes in a lot of information, and if it's in your first house, if it's in your rising, people see you as it's like student mentality. You really like to take in a lot of information and see how things are. I feel like you could be kind of making some snap judgments about people. People really approve of your initial opinion about somebody. So I do feel like a lot of people will come to you and ask you for advice or ask you for your opinion on certain things. I do feel like since it's this earthy energy too, people like your opinion on like different aesthetic things. You could be like a decorator or something. There's something about it where I do feel like like a realtor, or you work with properties a lot, gardening as well, you're doing something outside. You're doing something that is more based in like the physical material. So I do feel like this is a very well developed aspect of your energy system, but it's not without its regard for emotionality too, because you also have the 8-armed Kuan Yin, the bodhisattva of compassion. When stuck in anger, cultivate compassion. I do feel like you have a very thick, like it's a very thick outer layer. There's a lot of complexity to it, but as soon as somebody gets to a certain level of it, they can't get past it. So I do feel like there is a strength that is kind of, it's like I'm thinking of, okay, so this is kind of an obscure idea, but there's a garden and there's a lot of vines and ivy and like foliage and thickness and like bushes and stuff. And so somebody goes in, I think that's where that wood energy is coming from too. It's like that bush type energy. So somebody goes in, there's a lot of things going on in the bushes. There's a lot of people, a lot of different concepts and ideas and things that people have access to in your very outer layer of energy. But there's kind of a wall, like you can't get past this like stone wall or something into the inner garden. So people know that they're on their way to a garden. They know that there's all this like abundance and fruitfulness that is going to come from your inner layer, but they can't quite get to it unless you let them in, unless you invite them in. And I think that this is something, I do feel like you're a little bit older, pile 3. I feel like either whether this is age in spirit or it's age in actuality in like your human life, I do feel like there's something that is more learned about this group, because you know what you have to offer, you know that you have a lot going on. Not to just bolster your ego, but you do have a lot of skills, you have a lot of interests, you have a lot of knowledge, information. You don't want to just let anybody have access to that. And the bodhisattva of compassion, I do feel like people know that you can do a lot with your outer layer of energy. So it's not too reserved in that sense. You still allow some of that abundance to be in your outer layer. For your tarot cards here, we have 3 of them from the Wildwood Tarot, and they're all in reverse, so this makes me believe that there are some untapped skills that you're still trying to search for. I feel like you're in a point in your life where you're doing some soul searching, and that's why you have the Moon on water, or just the Moon card in reverse, the 9 of Swords in reverse, and then, which says dedication, and then the Green Woman. So, this Green Woman energy, this is the Empress. This is definitely that like abundant, earthy energy that you have going on within. I do feel like even though you have this kind of Virgo energy on the outside, I feel like this also leads to your inner self, and that's where all that comes from. You could be a Virgo sign as well. But because it's in reverse, I feel like there is somewhat of an exhaustion with your true inner self. There is a bit of that withholding of your feminine energy. I do feel like that's also why the Kuan Yin, like when you're stuck in anger, cultivate compassion, came out for your outer energy level, because I do feel like somebody took some of your energy recently or made you feel vulnerable in a way that you didn't want to feel vulnerable. And I think that there's a little bit of forgiving yourself that has to happen before you can be this very abundant, feminine, giving, like receiving type energy, where you can give from a place of receptivity. I do think that you have guides that are really coming in to help you and heal you right now, so that's very comforting. I think also this 9 of Swords, this dedication, is showing that there is a lot of there's some shadows that are in this inner garden area, this inner place that you have that is very abundant, but the shadows are revealing where you have allowed for energy vampires, for things that also I feel like it's like conspiring energy, things that have kind of grown over, that you've let them have too much space in your garden, so to speak. It's almost like this garden is under construction for you. There's a lot of like anguish, and I do feel like you've gone through a really major spiritual upgrade recently. You could also be somebody that just got into witchcraft of some kind, so you are looking into how you can do spells to banish certain energy, to clear out things that aren't working for you energetically. I do feel like you're a very earthy person, but with a little bit of air mixed in too. So because of this Nine of Swords energy, I do think that there is, it's like Aquarius energy. It's that rebellious energy. It's the energy of humanitarian. So people see you as having a very large, big heart. You do have a very big heart. You have a lot of generosity. I do feel like that's something that is a very key trait about you. But you're figuring out what energy is serving you, and what, like, you're kind of shaping yourself. You're kind of figuring out, okay, how can I be the best version of myself? How can I present myself in a way that I want to, and not sacrifice anything about myself? And that's why you're having a spiritual upgrade. It's a very spiritual upgrade in terms of like your self-concept. And then finally, this moon card in reverse, I think, is also you not trusting your own insights that you've had in the past. I think that you are a very capable of understanding life type of person. Because you have all this earth energy, you really get the earth realm, and I don't think that you're letting yourself listen to that guidance. And I think that that's something that would benefit you. And I think also nourishing yourself is going to be really helpful to allow you to get in touch with your own energy. Because I do feel like sometimes with that air energy, you kind of got your head in the clouds. You kind of don't really want to embrace all those earthy qualities for yourself. And I think also this is going to push you in the right path career-wise. I think that there's something about you withholding this aspect of your true nature, of your true desires, your true wants and needs in life, that is keeping you from pursuing that like path that you really want to go on. You're denying yourself in some level of where you want to be in this earth plane. And you have all the tools, you have everything that you need to get there. You just haven't let yourself tap into it. I think that you also are planting the right seeds now. Like metaphorically, if we're going to go with this garden metaphor, I think that you're planting the right things that are going to come to fruition, that are going to get you where you need to be, but it's just going to take time, and it's going to take that like nurture that is going to get you there. So I want to thank your higher self. I want to thank you for joining me today and allowing me to read into your energy. I was very grateful for the honor of being able to convey this message to you. I hope that this helped you, and I will see you in another video. Bye. Howdy, Pile 4. If you selected Pile 4, this is going to be your auric or energy reading of your just energetic system at this current moment. We're going to start by cleansing the space that we're in with this lavender mist. And this is going to calm ourselves, help us get in touch with our intuition, understand which messages are meant for us and which ones are not, and help me be a clear and effective communicator to you today, to help you receive the messages that you need to receive. So, I also want to put some lavender oil on my hand, which is going to act as a like conduct for this energy that is going to bring that clarity and is going to help my hands, which are my tools, be useful in this reading. So, I can feel the energy coming through. I do feel like Pile 4, I want to start with letting you know that I feel like your very outer energy level is somewhat adaptable and something that is able to mix with others a lot. You could be a Cancer rising. You also could be, it's that like water energy, but also some air energy. I'm also picking up on Gemini. You could be a Gemini rising as well. So there's something about your very outer energy levels that mixes, and sometimes it's hard for you to discern when it's your energy and when it's somebody else's energy. You also could have kids. So there's something about your energy is wrapped up in other people a lot because you feel responsible for them. If you don't have kids, take that message as well still, but just apply it in other relationships. I do feel like you have difficulty seeing when something is from you and when it's from another person. For your outer energy system, we're going to use the Buddha Wisdom Shakti Power Oracle deck to describe the outer energy levels. Okay, this is very fiery energy, which is interesting because maybe I'm just picking up more on your inner energy than with that like Gemini and Cancer, but there is something that is like indistinguishable about the outer energy level of you. I do feel like there's Aries here as well. If you're not an Aries rising, you could have like Aries sun or moon, but it's something that is very apparent in your outer energy system because we have Rahula, who is the fierce planetary deity of the sky, confront the things that scare you the most. I do feel like you are somebody that has a little bit of a restless energy. You want to be moving pretty constantly. You also want to experience a lot. You want to have somewhat of a lot of experiences. You really want to be involved in a lot of different things, and you want to gain like the necessary like knowledge, and it's like a practice of intuition. You're practicing your discernment skills. You're practicing your view on the world through having a lot of different people around you. I think that's also where that Gemini energy is coming, because Gemini is very like knowledge based. It's very likes to be in contact with a lot of different people, likes to have lots of conversations, things like that. So I think also with this eye, with all the eyes that are on Rahula, he is trying to open the third eye. Well, he has more than just a third eye, but I think for you, this is trying to open your third eye, trying to have an intuitive outer layer to you that is able to see a lot of what's going on. So I know at the beginning I did say that there is some of this like kind of watery energy, but I'm going to retract that a little bit, because Cancer is that intuition. That's what I'm picking up on. It's that intuitive. You're trying to see a lot, because I do feel like you're somewhat on your guard. You're somewhat afraid of getting overpowered, not necessarily afraid of getting burned, but you're afraid of not being able to speak up, not being able to have a voice in a situation. I feel like people have tried to silence you a lot in the past, and so that's where this like fiery wall of protection that is going on the outside, and that's what the air energy is too. It's that air and fire that are mixing to try and eke out as much information as you can from people before you let them past this like thinner like fire barrier that you have going on. It's somewhat intense, and you also could be somebody that when you walk in a room, everybody knows what's going on. You could be a little bit described by other people as intense, or described as being somewhat confrontational or something because of that. Confront the things that scare you the most. You just kind of have your guard up a little bit. You are very intense because you want to get past other people's outer layers to figure out, okay, are you going to hurt me? Which I don't recommend, but it works on some level, and it also may work with the type of people that you know are around you. I do feel like you're in a more volatile energy system a lot of the times. You're in a place where you may have to adopt this kind of energy system around you. We also have Dorje Drola, which is the crazy wisdom, wrathful Buddha. Let go of being logical, a higher wisdom will guide you. So this is also, again, that fire energy, but I do feel like it's the mix of the fire and the air energy, and this is where that Gemini energy is coming from. So I do feel like you also have a guide that is very fiercely protective over you and is in your very outer energy system and lingers around you. I don't want to disempower you by saying that, but you do have a guide that is in your outer energetic system that is like doing that kind of poking and prodding at other people, which is funny. It's very almost like nosy almost, that outer energy that you got going on, because it is trying to cleanse and purify everything so much with that fiery intensity that you're trying to get that information out so that you know whether you're safe or not, so that you can like jump ship. Okay, for your inner energy system, we have 3 cards from the Wildwood Tarot, and 2 of them are in reverse. more fire energy and air energy. So again, like I said before, you got that fire and you got that air. Those are your more prominent things that you're working out in this life and your more prominent energetic signatures. I do feel like there's something angelic about you on the very inner system, and I think that's why there is this like intensity that's going on around you, because it's to keep you from being in situations that you don't need to be in, because you do have this, oh, it's so intense. I don't, not intense in a bad way. The very inner system of you is very pure. It's very good intentioned. You have the Ace of Wands, the Spark of Life, or why did I say Wands? The Ace of Swords, excuse me, in reverse. And then we also have the Knight of Wands, or Knight of Bows, which is a fox. What did I say? Was it this group or was it another group? If you resonated with another pile too, I said something that there was something foxy about, I think it was another pile, but you also on an internal level have this fox hunter energy. Both of these are reversed though. So I think that there is something spiritually that you have been inching towards. You've been trying to call in, but now that it's coming in, now that that energy is reaching you, now that you are absorbing it into your inner energetic system, you're a little bit worried about it. And I think that that's why you are trying so hard with that intuition on the outer layer of you. I think that there is something that, because of past hurts, because of letting people in, you are very wary about letting people reach you on this closer level. And now that you have decided, okay, I'm going to allow, I do think it's a person. I think it's possibly a relationship that you have that you're trying to integrate, that you're somewhat anxious about. I'm feeling a pit in my stomach, so I feel like it's causing you some kind of anxiety, also keeping you up at night, and it's keeping you from having conversations about it. It's keeping you from having conversations with yourself specifically, though. I think that you need to have a conversation with yourself about what you want and how much of your energy you even want to give to somebody, regardless of how good you're feeling, regardless of even if those people in the past had treated you that way. What do you want from a relationship? What do you want your life to look like spiritually as well? Are you compromising things spiritually for another person? Are you compromising something about your inner world for another person? I want to look at and then we have the Fool. This is again Aries energy. So I do think that if you don't have Aries in your top 3, you could have one of your top 3 in your first house. So like Sun in first, Moon in first. Well, Rising is your first house. But there's something about your first house. There's something about yourself that is being ignored or something, because you're so afraid of that being on your outer layer, of people picking up on who you really are, on any insecurities you may have, on the fact that you don't really know what you're doing sometimes. There's something about like confusion that is happening, and I think that's why the Ace of Swords is in reverse. You want to go in a new direction. You want to pursue things that you really care about. You want to, I do feel like you're a little bit younger, but not in soul. In terms of where you are spiritually, I think that there's a youthfulness to it. That's why the Fool is coming out, because you know that you're turning over a new leaf and you can't go back. You're very worried about the permanence of making a decision like that, of the permanence of moving forward in life, the permanence of moving into a new place. And I think also this is a more misty card, even though it is like that Aries, like fire energy. There is something about integrating the light in with the mist, in with understanding your emotions better. You are really getting in touch with a little bit more of like a watery energy in your life. You're seeing life as a little bit more complex than what you thought it was, and so you're kind of having to let go of a version of yourself that you used to carry around, that you used to be. And I think that's why there's a little bit of ambiguity in your energy system, and it's a little bit more difficult for me to figure out exactly what's going on, because I think that you're even hiding things from yourself. there are things that are, I think that there's a big ball of shadowy energy that's in the very center of your energy that is taking over certain things, and it's hiding things from you. I do feel like you could use this to your advantage to hide things from other people while you try and figure stuff out. Like if you do work with any type of magic, using that shadow energy to like mask things or hide them, just till you figure it out personally. But I do think that you're gonna figure it out. You just have to take a little bit of more of that time to understand who you want to be, because you need to realize that you create your reality, and this reality, this lifetime that you live, you can work with the things that you're given to get a desired outcome. So I think looking into manifestation, looking into law of attraction things is going to be really helpful for you, pile 4. I think that you're just starting on a spiritual journey, on a spiritual path in this lifetime that is going to change your soul's path forever. Like, I think that you recognize that something is falling away, that things are leaving, and that's why there's like these empty holes, there's these empty spaces, and that's why it's also protected by this fire. You're very worried that you're going to be vulnerable in the wrong space, but I don't think you need to be all that worried, pile 4. I also, to finish this, I wanted to thank your higher self for coming through and helping me. I want to thank you for watching this video and listening to me with this a little bit out there topic today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video. Bye.